it's me, Betty Jean Baker, and this is the Betty Jean Baker Show. On today's episode, we are going to make another classic, the meatloaf. Ooh, God almighty, don't you love a meatloaf? Now I'm going to tell y'all something. This is about the best meatloaf recipe you'll ever eat. We're going to start with a basic meatloaf, and then we are going to level that up to a Dragzilla extravaganza version of a meatloaf.
And I would do anything for love.
The ingredients for a basic meatloaf are 1 chopped green pepper, 1 onion grated, 1 clove of garlic finely chopped, 3/4 cup, 3/4 ketchup, 3/4 cup of ketchup, 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar, 3 tablespoons of dark brown sugar, 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, 1/2 cup of fresh chopped parsley, 2 large eggs, 2/3 cup of fine breadcrumbs, 1/3 cup of finely grated Parmesan, 1 tablespoon of kosher salt, 1/4 teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper, unless you're lazy and poor and you can just get it out of a little can.
2 pounds of ground beef chuck.
4 thin strips of bacon. We're going to start out by preheating the oven to 350 degrees. That's 350. Y'all, it gets hot in here in this kitchen, especially over this little mini stove. I have to drink me something cold, and I love a Diet Pepsi. Call it the nectar of the gods. We're going to start out our basic meatloaf by grilling, sauteing some onions. First, we're going to put our olive oil in the pan. That's not olive oil. That's vinegar. That smelled so bad right now. We're going to start off our meatloaf by sauteing some onions, We're going to start off our meatloaf by sauteing some onions, garlic, and... What is it? We're going to start out our meatloaf by sauteing some onions and garlic. First, we're going to put our olive oil. Then we're going to add our garlic. Now, I've already sauteed these onions a little bit, so it'll take us a little less time. So here you go. Ow, listen to that. Ow, ow. God almighty, that sounds good. Y'all, don't you love a meatloaf? You know, when I think about a meatloaf, the first thing that comes to mind is that singer, that big old fella, Meatloaf. I guess he got his name because he loved to eat a meatloaf. I don't know why they called him that, because he looked like a big old loaf of meat. I don't know. And he always wore a ruffled shirt. He had a lot of hit songs, but my favorite one was Paradise by the Dashboard Light.
I can see paradise by the dashboard.
Lord, I've hit Paradise at that dashboard light several times, and sometimes 3 or 4 times a week. So we're sauteing these onions, and that smells good. Don't you love a sauteed onion? I could just eat this. Nobody'd sleep with me. Ain't nobody doing it now. You know, they say to rub garlic on yourself if you don't want a vampire to come get you. I want a vampire to come get me, to be honest. I wish one to come and bite me and make me immortal and love me forever. That's all I've ever asked for. As soon as they're nice and brown, we're going to set that aside and get started on some special ketchup. Some special ketchup mixture. For the next step, we're going to add some ketchup into a saucepan. Then we're going to add in our cayenne pepper. Then we're going to add our brown sugar. Y'all, this ketchup mixture is delicious. It's got a little kick and a little sweet. It's going to be so good on the top of that meatloaf. And my trick is I put a little inside the meatloaf mixture as well. Y'all, I got a little tip for your sexual safety. Meatloaf is a good sex-safe word. Do you know why? Because it means I would do anything for love, but I won't do that. That's that Meatloaf song. It's only going to take us 3 or 4 minutes on some medium heat to melt that sugar and incorporate that cayenne pepper, and then we're going to set that aside. Our next step is one of my favorite parts, because you get to squish your hands in some meat. Ooh, God almighty, I love to get my hands on some meat. I already have my hamburger in the bowl. We're going to add our broth, our eggs, our breadcrumbs, then we'll add our grilled onion mixture. Our Parmesan cheese, our pepper. Next is our salt. It's kosher salt, but Lord, it has absorbed some of this Myrtle Beach air. Look at it. I'm gonna have to break it up. Break it up, y'all. There we go. We're gonna add now our finely chopped green peppers. Give it that little peppery bite. I do love a bite. People say, don't mind me, I don't bite. Well, hell yeah, I bite. I bite whatever you got. Y'all, making meatloaf reminds me when I worked in a restaurant. I was in the kitchen one day cooking, and a waiter comes in the back and he says to me and the owner, he says, there's a man out there, and I think he's blind. He walked in with a cane, he can't see. And I told him we didn't have a Braille menu. He said, I don't need a menu. Just go and get me a fork from the last customer, and I'll smell it, and I'll know what they ate, and I'll see if I want to eat that. And I'm like, okay. So we sent him a fork out into the dining room, and the waiter comes back in and says, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. That fork meant that the last customer had had mashed potatoes and meatloaf and gravy. And he was right. I said, does he want that? He said, no. So I gave him another fork. And he came back in the kitchen. He said, he smelled this one and said it was shrimp and grits. So I picked a clean fork up off the counter and I stuck it down in my underwear. And a few minutes later, that waiter came in and I said, ha ha, what did he say? He said, I didn't know Betty Jean worked here. Y'all, I had to quit that job. Can you imagine the shame of it? I don't even remember what he looked like, but he didn't know what I looked like either. So y'all, we're gonna add a little bit of our ketchup mixture into the meat. And I'm gonna put this vinegar in that I forgot a little while ago. You ain't Betty Jean. You ain't Betty Jean's on some new medication. I don't always know what room I'm in. And then we're gonna put about a quarter cup of your ketchup into your meat mixture. Dude, Jesus. Then we're gonna squish it around with our hand again. And y'all, I was making this and it drove Teensy right out the house. She couldn't even stay in the room with it because she got all sad, she got all teary-eyed. And I said, Teensy, what the hell? What the hell? Teensy, what you crying about? She said, Joe Mack. Joe Mack was her husband. And I said, Joe Mack? And she said, yeah, Joe Mack. And she was just traumatized over this meatloaf. And you know why? Joe Mack was at work at the DuPont plant and he was up on a rafter with his buddies and they were complaining about the lunch that they had. And one of them said, my wife gives me the same damn thing every day. He said, if I look in my lunch pail one more time and there's a damn fried bologna sandwich in there, I'm gonna jump off this steel girder. He opened his lunchbox and there was a bologna sandwich and he threw his body down on the pavement. The second fella, he said, well, you know what? My wife always gives me peanut butter and damn banana sandwich. If there's a damn peanut butter and banana sandwich in here, I'm gonna throw my body off of this steel girder. He opened his lunch pail and you know what was in there? A peanut butter and banana sandwich. So he jumped off of that rafter. He's sitting there by himself on that steel girder. He said, if I open my lunch pail and there's another damn meatloaf sandwich in there, I'm gonna throw myself off of this steel girder. He opened his lunch pail and sure as shit, there was a meatloaf sandwich in there and he threw his body off of that steel girder. And that's tragic. That's how Teensy lost her husband. You know, the terrible part of that story is he packed his own lunch. Next, we're gonna put this ketchup all over your meatloaf. And you know who made the delicious meatloaf? Is my meemaw. Ooh, I used to love to go to her house on Sunday and have a meatloaf. Woo! And you know what made it so good? Is that she used fresh meat. She always had fresh meat. So her hamburger didn't have any hormones or chemicals in it. It wasn't gonna make me grow a third boobie or nothing like that. It was just fresh meat. She had cows and pigs and chickens, and you know, she had a pet pig, and his name was Mr. Truffles. And Mr. Truffles would follow me to the school bus when I would stay with my Meemaw. He'd walk down the street and sit at the school bus and wait for me to come home. I'd come home, I'd get off that school bus to go to my Meemaw's house, and Mr. Truffles would be sitting there in the corner. And I'd say, come on, Mr. Truffles. One time I went to my Meemaw's house, and I looked out the window, and Mr. Truffles was missing a damn leg. And I said, Meemaw, what happened to Mr. Truffles? And she said, well, you know, your pawpaw got caught under that tractor. Mr. Truffles drug him by his collar, his shirt, and pulled him out from under that damn tractor. I said, Meemaw, that's crazy. Is that how he lost his leg? She said, And I said, well, what happened? She said, you remember when I fell down the stairs and I didn't have my life alert on? I was laying on the ground yelling,
I've fallen and I can't get up.
Well, you know who heard me? It was Mr. Truffles. And he came over there and he got the telephone and brought it over to me so I could call the EMS squad. I said, Meemaw, is that how he lost the leg? She said, She said, a couple of weeks ago, I left a Yankee candle on after we went to bed, and the living room damn caught on fire, and our smoke alarm didn't go off, and you know what happened? Mr. Truffles busted open that damn front door and led me and your pawpaw out to safety. I said, Meemaw, is that how he lost his leg? She said, no. I said, well, how'd he lose his damn leg? And she said, honey, with a pig that special, you can't eat him all at once. Y'all, the last step is we're gonna add this delicious bacon, and I like to make crisscrosses with my bacon, just like this, watch.
Crisscross applesauce.
Look at that, we got this beautiful pattern on here. It's a double X, it's XX. One more X, and I get voted off America's Got Talent. We're gonna put this in the oven for 1 hour to 1 hour and 10 minutes. If you wanna be real sure, you can stick a meat thermometer in there, and when the center gets to 170, it's done.
Bien. Echemos un vistazo.
Dude, Jesus! Y'all, look at that damn delicious meatloaf. Are you ready? I'm gonna take a bite. I can't wait! God almighty! Don't forget, like, subscribe, and click that bell for notifications. And most importantly, stay Stay delicious, y'all.
Shame.